Hi everyone and welcome to How to Play Guitar. This time we're tackling the song I think it's fair to say that inspired me to set up this channel in the first place. I always wanted to learn how to play guitar properly, so every time I watched tracks I always thought, how are these artists actually playing them? And this is one of my favourites, called Apocalyptic Love from Slash, the title track of his second studio album, I think it was. The first one with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, properly going for it. And I must say, it's such a tough riff. I watched video after video online. I just could not find out how to play this riff properly. And I ended up slowing down videos of Slash playing at live gigs. And I just thought, no one else is doing this. So I finally kind of decided to tackle one of the tracks behind the reason why I wanted to do this whole channel in the first place. You'll notice I'm standing up this time because there's a lot of wah pedal action going on, a lot of stuff to do. I just can't sit down and show you how to do it properly. So we're going to take it from the beginning with Apocalyptic Love and we'll see how we go. So right at the start, there's a very quiet bit and you hear Slash and the gang talking away. Someone says Apocalyptic, one of the studio engineers. And it begins with some wah pedal action on an F minor chord. Like that. Now, the best way to play this, I think, is in the F minor position on the 2nd fret. But just play the top 2 notes. A bit like that. That's exactly what happens on the album. And then we go to this double muted pick. Like that. With a slide up. And then we're into our first riff straight away. This is the snakiest riff I think that I've found Slash do in his kind of career. And it's really, really cool. But just watch very closely how it's played, because it did take an absolute decade of my lifetime to find out the real truth of this riff. So, it starts with an open string. Now it's worth saying that the wah pedal in this riff is pushed downwards on the main beat. So if you're going... So... It's not quite right how you play the riff, but just to demonstrate the pedal there. So that's happening. In the meantime, you've got these notes. Open. And then a hammer on the 7th fret. First finger on the 5th fret there, on that A string. And this return note here is very much muted, so the whole first sequence is like this. But that muted note is with a 7th fret 3rd finger. That's the next turn. Always alternate picking, by the way, so you're going to get to that pause note here. Now there is no pick here at all, but Slash does move his fingers, so he goes. So it's kind of like it creates the sound of a note, but there isn't a note there. There's just a kind of lifting of the 3rd finger on that 7th fret on the D string. The next notes that follow are pull-offs, which is kind of gives you time to think about the fast next section which is approaching here in this riff. This is the hardest bit of the piece, by the way, that's why I'm taking so long to go through the riff properly. So 4, 3, 1, 3. Slide down to this 4th fret. Nice little riff. And this bit I just could not work out how to play for such a long time, but it's the 5th fret with the 1st finger, muted, and then slid down to that 3rd. So again, the whole riff. Like that. Really tough to play, especially at full speed. That's actually quite good. Then you have that same riff again, same wah pattern. Always remember that these are alternate picks here until one special occasion I'll tell you about later. And then the wah pedal gets pressed off at that point as we go into the first chord section of the tab, which I've got, by the way, downloadable for you. Absolutely free, so just check it out. Wah pedal goes off, chords on the way, but we get this riff again before that, except that the wah is turned off this time, so it sounds a bit more like this. And then the next time you have this, it goes. So the chord section is quite straightforward. It's got some inverted power chords which are very nice, but I'll just take you through that here before we get into the alternate version of the riff here. So the chords are just an E minor. Now you can play it with first fingers, which I've seen Slash do in a live situation. So it's when you're coming out of the main riff. So the G chord is just this shape of G, but you don't play this A string, you just mute it with the finger. Then you've got this first inversion of the D chord, which basically is played by the thumb there on the bottom note. You play that twice. Same again. Sometimes I like to come down and do it in the open position like that with the second finger and third finger. There's just a doubling there. And then you've got two variations of how to play this. Slash does it both different ways when he's playing live. You've either got the kind of power chord version, which is like this, or sometimes in lives he even plays this third note. Or you've got the other option, which is this first position. I prefer the power chord version and actually adding in the third as well, even though you can't hear that on the album. And you've got this kind of open note, back to the G, with the doubling of an open. So this is an E chugging power chord here. And it's a slow release. We're going to go into the next section, but just a quick note on this really quick turnaround here. I really struggled to try and play that at full speed because I kept trying to alternate pick. But you don't actually, it's a hammer on, down, down, up. We'll go into this next section here. This is the kind of inverted power chords section, which I really like. This actually was the piece that taught me about inverted power chords in the first place. So instead of going, it's actually got the fifth note in the bottom. So and these are played with this rhythm, so when it's the X's, you're moving your chord and muting. Now this riff comes back from the beginning, but it's in a different arrangement here. It's one string over, wah pedal on, and again make sure you wah on each beat, so press the pedal down on each beat. We're going to pause it there because there's a lot to go through in this video, but that's part one of Slash's Apocalyptic Love, involving some of the wah pedal tricks that I've learned from watching it. And the inverted chords as well, inverted power chords, super interesting. Anyway, we'll see you in part two, but do subscribe if you like this video. I don't think there's really anyone else out there who's got this riff nailed down like this, so we'll see you in part two.